Welcome back. It's Election Day in Ontario, less than 9 hours to go before the polls close. For more on what we can expect from the polls, we're joined live now by CTV News political commentator Scott Reid. Scott, great to see you again. Let's talk about the election. It's finally here after 4 months of campaigning. Now, all the polls, the Nanos Research polls that we've been telling our viewers, has PC leader Doug Ford in the lead. Can we expect any surprises after the votes are counted tonight?
I don't know if we're going to get any surprises. I think there's some stuff that still holds suspense. So we know Doug Ford's going to win. He's going to get reelected. He's going to get reelected with a majority government. I wouldn't be surprised, Jen. He is really hitting his stride here as the campaign ends. I wouldn't be surprised if he increases his seat total over the last election, which is saying something because the last election was a sweep. It was a throw the bums out election. And so for him to be able to build on that as an incumbent is no small accomplishment. The suspense is going to be around second place. The battle between the Liberals and the NDP. NDP hold official opposition. Can they hold on to it tonight? Will the Liberals be able to climb back from third into second place? That difference is going to actually decide some political careers tonight.
It certainly is. We've been talking about how for Andrea Horwath, this is her fourth election. If she doesn't win, what's in store for her? She didn't really comment on that, but said that we'll wait and see what happens. Now, between Andrea Horwath and Stephen Del Duca, who do you think ran a tighter campaign? And if you can speculate on who you think will take second place here?
It is a coin toss. If you look at seat projections, and if you look at seat projections, you might as well look at them through a beer glass because they're all just a garble of statistical guesswork. But if you look at the seat projections, you get 5 answers for every 6 models. I think the Liberals will end up as official opposition. I think they'll nip the NDP on both popular vote and seat count. And the reason I think goes back to Doug Ford. I think Doug Ford is surging in Southwest Ontario, maybe even in Northern Ontario, and he's going to steal some of those precious NDP seats that they need to hold on to official opposition. That's my guess. And I actually think almost regardless of the outcome, second or third, it is Andrea Horwath's fourth election campaign. I don't think there'll be a fifth. I think tonight is pretty much curtains.
Okay, a lot of stakes for her. Let's talk about Stephen Del Duca. What happens if he doesn't win a seat in his own riding?
Well, that's super duper interesting. Remember, the party had 7 seats. It had lost party status, beaten back to third place. So he's really rebuilding from ash. I think we could get interesting results. So if, for example, he is able to propel the Liberals into second place, into official opposition, but loses his own seat, I think he might still hang on as Liberal leader. If he ends up in third place, if he loses his seat on top of that, probably a tougher struggle. But the reality is the party's infrastructure is lean. The party's still building back. There's no obvious alternative to him. I don't know if anybody's going to be putting their hand on his back and saying it's time to go. But you can't lose your riding and fail to advance your seat total and hope to carry on in the job. So those would be treacherous waters if it comes to that.
Right, absolutely. Okay, and Scott, we can't forget about Green Party leader Mike Schreiner. He kind of stood out at that leaders debate, and he's slowly gaining traction. Do you think that his goal of trying to double or triple his caucus can be accomplished?
I doubt it. And I don't mean to be a downer. Mike Schreiner is a impossible to dislike kind of guy. As you said, if there was anything worth watching in that leaders debate, it was Mike Schreiner. He was the only person who really came off as, spontaneous, authentic, interesting, the kind of guy you'd like to sit down next to on a bar stool. But I think it's tall work. I think he's certainly earned his seat back. He'll be reelected. But can he pull off another seat? They're talking about Parry Sound Muskoka because there's no real Liberal candidate. Maybe. I wouldn't bet a lot. Not in a situation where it's a natural Conservative riding and Doug Ford is riding high in the polls. Doesn't feel to me like it's going to break out the Green way.
Okay, Scott, look, we have great weather for this election. What's your take on voter turnout? Do you think that there is kind of a voter burnout, pandemic burnout, or do you think that's going to motivate people to want to get to the polls and vote, even though the writing's on the wall that PC leader Doug Ford is going to win?
Yeah, I wish I had a different answer because, I'd love to be able to say that I think voter turnout is going to rise. I'd love to see increased engagement. It's been a sleepy campaign. It isn't a change election. There is no throw the bums out zeal across the province. And the truth of the matter is this. Campaigns have high turnout when people are mad, when they're cranky, when they are motivated to pick up the pitchfork and torch and chase the monsters from the castle. That's not this kind of election. So my guess, Ford's going to get reelected with a big majority, maybe even bigger than we think, and there's going to be a low voter turnout. I just don't think the people are all that wound up, and that's good news for an incumbent government.
Wow, looks like he will get it done, and I love your reference to Beauty and the Beast there. Okay, CTV News political commentator Scott Reid, always a pleasure. Thank you.